Good morning. Today we will be finishing Chapter 9, Function of Neurons. We still have Document 5 and Document 6. Document 5, Synapses, Structure and Function, will be divided into 4 videos. We are going to explain the synapses, their structure and their function. Let's start with a problem situation. In a reflex arc, the sensory neuron transmits the nervous message to an interneuron or directly to a motor neuron. As you can see here, the sensory neuron, the afferent neuron, transmit the nervous message, the sensitive message, to an interneuron found in the gray matter of the spinal cord. Then the interneuron transmits the message to an efferent motor neuron, and the efferent neuron will transmit the message to the muscle. So, in addition to transmitting messages, neurons must be able to transmit them from one cell to another. Thus, there is a kind of communication between neurons and muscles, and between neurons and glands. Indeed, it is this communication which is established between neurons and different nerve structures which allows us to be more intelligent, which allows a pianist to play the piano without confusing between the keys, the football player to throw the ball, etc. So the problem posed: what connection exists between these different structures? And what is the mode of transmission of the nervous message between these structures? The answer is the communication between the nerve structures is called synapse. As a definition, from Greek, syn means together and hapten means join. So the synapse is the functional junction or link between a neuron and another neuron, or between a neuron and an effector cell, which can be a muscle cell or a glandular cell. So you have to study the definition of the synapse. The synapse is the junction that connects two neurons, or that connects a neuron to a muscular cell or a neuron to a glandular cell. As you can see here, you have many synapses joining neurons together to form a network of communication which is so complex. The types of synapses. In fact, we have two types of synapses: the electric synapses and the chemical synapses. The electric synapses are very rare in vertebrates. In these synapses, the two cells touch. There is no space between the two cells, and the action potential goes directly from one membrane to another. We have channels that connect the two cells and that allow ions and small molecules to pass through in order to transmit the message. And the transmission of the nervous message is bidirectional. Each neuron receives and returns the action potential. These synapses are not studied this year, so you don't memorize the electric synapses. Concerning chemical synapses, they represent 99% of the body synapses. They are frequent in our nervous system. In these synapses, the cells do not touch, and the nerve message or the nerve impulse needs chemical molecules to be transmitted. And the chemical molecules are called neurotransmitters. They cross the space between the two cells and they transmit the message. Knowing that the space between these two cells is considered as an electrical insulator, so the nerve impulse cannot cross the space, so we need chemical molecules in order to transmit the message. The transmission is slow, 0.5 seconds, and it takes place in only one direction, so the nervous message in the chemical synapses is unidirectional. It always passes from one cell to another and it doesn't turn back. So here, as you can see in this figure, we have these two cells which are directly connected. There is no space between them. We have gap junctions and the channels that allow the transmission of molecules and ions from a presynaptic membrane that emits the message to a postsynaptic membrane that receives the message. Whereas in the chemical synapses, as you can see here, the small space called synaptic cleft. This space is an electric insulator. It separates the two cells, the presynaptic cell, which is always a neuron, and a postsynaptic cell, which can be a neuron, a gland, or a muscle. Thanks for listening. In the next video, we are going to explain the types of chemical synapses and their mode of action and the mode of transmission of the nervous message in the chemical synapses. Bye bye.